Dennis Scott has been following the series. 3D's with us now from Chicago. And as you heard, 3D, Jerry and Grant will get the start tonight for Rondo. How will his teammates share the playmaking responsibilities tonight?
Well, after talking to D-Wade, they all know they have to step up and share that responsibility. And like Jaren said, everyone has to go out and be who they are. Rondo has done an excellent job working with these young guys all season long. So, to that being said, guys, has Rondo's leadership rubbed off on those guys and showed them how to play the game the right way, be aggressive, but more importantly, control the pace. That's the biggest thing they're going to miss right away is Rondo being able to control the pace.
And we'll get deeper into the Bulls here in a moment. The Celtics point guard is in a different kind of pain, as everyone knows. Isaiah Thomas played the first 2 games of the series after learning of his younger sister's death on Saturday. What have his last couple of days been like, 3D?
As far as we know, he flew back to Seattle to spend time with his dad and family and kind of grieve a little bit with them and kind of clear the air a little bit and let some of his feelings kind of subside. He is back with the team. Brad Stevens said before the game he is obviously still feeling, what he's going through, but he's ready to play basketball. And sometimes, guys, we've all lost family members before. You get a chance to go home, you get around your family, you get some of that stuff off of you. Now you go back around your teammates, you go back to playing basketball.
Tough circumstance, obviously, for Thomas and the Boston Celtics. Guys, let's talk Rondo first here and his absence now after playing so well in Game 2. What does that mean for Chicago? How much more difficult is the assignment here tonight all of a sudden?
Well, I think everybody has to be themselves. Rondo's a unique type of player. There's no replacing Isaiah Thomas, even a Rondo, because everybody's totally different. I think for Jerry and Grant, you got to come out and play to your strengths and also to the Chicago Bulls' strength. The one thing is I'm scratching my head is I'm hearing star player we're missing Rondo. We're missing this guy is irreplaceable. This wasn't the guy, Isaiah and Matt Weiner, that the coaching staff and organization had benched throughout some games. And we understand he's been a guy that's the media or perception is that he has a hard time getting along with people. But when I look at Rondo in big games and playing basketball, he's a competitor, Isaiah. He wants to win. And I'm okay with a guy that wants to pass the basketball, play defense, and want to win. So it's interesting to me is when you play well, the perception of who you are changes.
Yeah, the best thing that probably could have happened to Rondo in terms of his reputation was getting hurt right now, because the words that are coming out of the Bulls organization about him as a player and as a person and a leader was totally different than what they were a couple of months ago. But what they're going to miss with Rondo is the easy basket, Smitty, right, Matt? It's like, when you got a guy who can come down and say, okay, here, take this layup, all right? Oh, I see that one open. Forget the play we just called. There's a mismatch over there. We gonna take that layup. Right now, they're not going to get that type of brain power, and that's going to make the game completely different for Wade, because Wade is a guy that right now, sometimes he can go get his own shots, and then sometimes he'll need a Rondo to kind of help him out. And I think right now Boston can kind of load up on Wade, and Butler's going to get his, but I think Wade's one to watch tonight, because Rondo won't be giving him the easy stuff.
Hey, 3D, obviously Fred Hoiberg won't be expecting the same sort of production out of Jerry and Grant or Michael Carter-Williams tonight. What do they hope to get out of the point guard spot?
Well, just to be solid and take good care of the basketball. That's one of the things that, Isaiah, as being a young point guard and you get to the playoffs, sometimes you try to do too much. When all 3 of those guys, when you throw Valentine there as well, he may see some spot minutes depending on foul trouble and who's not playing well. So all 3 of those guys understand, come in and play their games, take good care of the basketball. When in doubt, get the ball to Jimmy Butler.
Hey, 3D, I have a question for you. You look at this series, the Chicago Bulls are beating the Celtics up on the boards. Has anything come from Brad Stevens or maybe changing the lineup, maybe going bigger? Because they're getting out-rebounded, 11.5 rebounds, and that's really hurting them.
Oh, great question, Smitty. Also, don't forget, it's one of the things Rondo was doing already, too, having 17 rebounds, and only Al Horford having 18, the only one on the Celtics side. So that being said, Brad Stevens said before the game he will start Gerald Green, going a little bit different, a little more athleticism, three-point shooting. He felt like the pace was too much for them in Game 2, so hopefully Gerald Green can come in, knock down a few shots. More importantly, to your question, Smitty, get in there and get some of those big rebounds they need.
Interesting adjustment in terms of Gerald Green. You would think that they would come with size to get rebounding, but he actually came with a tempo and a pace changer, thinking that they needed to increase the tempo and pace, and maybe that helps them with rebounding. Do you see that happening tonight?
Well, I think at the end of the day, Isaiah, I think Avery Bradley said it best yesterday. You got to gang rebound. All 5 guys got to get in there because Robin Lopez has really been the anchor early in both games, in games 1 and 2 in that first quarter. He's the one getting 2 and 3 offensive rebounds to kind of set the tone along with Rondo. So Jaren Grant, he's going to be interesting. Can he get in there and get a few rebounds? But it's time for guys to get in there and say they're not ready to go down 0-3. So I'll look for a team rebounding big tonight.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate saying this before the series began, but Lopez has killed them in this series for the first 2 games, 14 of 21 from the field. And the Celtics roster just isn't set up with that kind of size. How do they counter what he does, not only with the rebounding, but the baseline jumpers, the little 10 and 12-foot jump shots he's been hitting? Brad Stevens talked about it after Game 2. He has been a real problem for them.
Yeah, the first phase, it has to be mano a mano. You have to face guard him and keep him off the glass, realizing that that's his number 1 goal when the ball goes up, is to go hit the glass hard. Number 2, for Rondo being out of the game now, can Jaren Grant get those same little pocket passes that Rondo was able to do to get Lopez's little mid-range jump shot clicking? Because Rondo puts the ball right there in your shooting pocket, you finish it. Now can these young guards come in and do the same thing, get those easy shots for Lopez?
Well, guys, looking at Lopez in particular, is it a group responsibility? And again, this is not the guy you normally game plan for, no matter what roster he's on. He's been more of a workman-like guy, but suddenly he's shooting at that sort of percentage, and not just on follow-ups and tip dunks and that sort of thing, but as a jump shooter over the smaller Celtics.
He's one of these guys that the league has always overlooked and always underestimated. And even myself, you know, I didn't really gain a lot of respect for him until I got here and started working with Shaq. And listening to Shaq talk about Lopez when they were in Phoenix together, and I never thought of Lopez as a tough guy, as a physical guy. And Shaq said he came into practice one day and he went to push Lopez, and Lopez said, "Hey, not today, Shaq. I'm not taking it today." And Shaq was like, "Oh, okay, we cool." But that's the type of reputation and respect he has from the players around the league. We even saw that when he got into it with Ibaka. You know, it's like, so from the outside, you don't look at him as the tough guy, but inside the league, they respect him, and he's a difficult, and he's a problem right now in this series. What do they do with him?
You know, I look at it, Isaiah, going back to your teams, and obviously, anytime you have a guy out rebounding, it's a team thing. But when I watched the Pistons growing up, when Isaiah broke his man down, so that's 1 less. The next big come, that's 2 guys. Even if Isaiah got a shot up or kicked it out, he's drawn 2, I call it 2.5. So I looked at it as Rondo is, when you watch him, he throws the ball ahead. Al Horford was always coming to help. What I mean by that, he had to take his body off Lopez. So I looked at the Celtics defense hasn't been as good in the regular season because they're not walling up and being able to stop guys and making them shoot over the top. Rondo's living in the lane, D-Wade's living in the lane, and I think Al Horford's is caught. So I stay on Lopez or should I come help? And once you leave a body off him, it is unbelievable because there's nobody else can come down and box him out.
Hey, 3D, offensively for the Celtics, you don't realistically know what Isaiah Thomas's mindset is going to be like or what his energy level is going to be like after crisscrossing the country, the emotional load that he's under as well. Are they thinking of other ways to get easy baskets and maybe more scoring out of an Al Horford or whoever it might be?
Well, you hit it right on the head, Matt. Al Horford has to step up and play big like he did in Game 1, then also supporting cast. So when you look at Chicago's side, in Game 1, Bobby Porter stepped up and had 18 big ones. Then in Game 2, you looked at Zipser. He stepped up and made some shots as well in Game 2. So now for the Celtics, who's going to be those X factors to make some shots? You know guys are going to be emotional. They want to play hard. For Isaiah, now he's back with the team. So now get off to a fast start, get your mojo back, knock down some shots, and maybe you still Game 3 and you get back in this series for the Celtics.
Yeah, Isaiah said it. I think they're looking at when they started Gerald Green, they're going to try to go up and down and run. They're saying, hey, we don't want to play a half-court game. We got to make it a scramble. And if you can get running and have an advantage that way, maybe they have to take Lopez out because that's the way I see Brad Stevens going. Because right now is, even though you look at Al Horford had 11 rebounds, they have just been dominating the paint with physicality in their front court. Amir Johnson not being able to play right now. Now it's Gerald Green. It's going to be interesting who matches up with Gerald Green right now because that make a mismatch for the Celtics on the offensive end. You
know, we saw Milwaukee be successful with that last night just in terms of tempo. Now Now they have Giannis, the Greek freak, but which makes it very different.
Sure.
But Jay Kidd was really talking about tempo, pace, run, and maybe that's where Boston is at. We're looking at the Chicago team that maybe they can beat them in transition. Maybe they can get down the floor, get some easy baskets, because when they set up, maybe Chicago's just a little too big for Boston right now, so they need to up-tempo the game a little bit.
Uncharted territory in so many ways for the Boston Celtics. No number one seed has ever been in this position before, down 0-2 on the road in a 7-game series. Dennis Scott with us from Chicago following the series. 3D, good to talk to you. Enjoy the Windy City.
Yes, Chicago's pretty nice right now, guys.
Chicago in the springtime, you could do worse.
3D, get one of them Vienna hot dogs for me.
Ooh, anything for you. Anything sounds good
and
to
an
me,
Italian beef.
Put little onions on that now.
Make sure you dip the bread.
Well, you guys work on the condiments. We're going to go to break.